Hello, and welcome to episode 0 of Super SourceCast. I'm your host today, Whitey Fox, and with me today is PushDustin.
Hello.
He's our site's founder, and I also have NantenJex, our managing editor.
Hello.
And I have Spazzy, who is our article lead.
Hey, everybody.
So, we're here today to start a fresh new beginning for Super SourceCast. You may have listened to, I believe there were 24-ish episodes of the old show, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all garbage. Throw it out. Don't
up
worry
in
about it.
January. Yeah, just burn it all to the ground. It's
Brand
gone.
new
It's
source
not
of
canon anymore.
Yeah. This is the 16-bit version now. Gotta appreciate all these bits
this is the...
I've added.
Yeah, you guys are going to be
I
blown
hope you're
away
enjoying
by...
the high fidelity.
You guys are going to be blown away by SourceCast 64. It's just gonna...
Well, there's a reason why we added Super to this version.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. And it's because it's new. Is there a specific reason behind Super? Because I don't know it if there is.
I think
Not
it's
really, it just
literally
sounded
the upgrade from, you know what, Super Smash Brothers or Super Nintendo or Super Mario, whatever you want to associate it with. Super is, it makes it sound better, you know? It's like the next step.
Yeah, what are we going to be? SourceCast Plus? Screw that. We're old school.
Yeah.
New SourceCast.
It also
Oh,
it also
God.
makes the it also
Featuring
makes
Dante
the
from the Devil May
abbreviation
Cry
SSC. SSC.
So yeah,
which is
we're here
too more
to
than
go ahead and
story
get a
mode.
fresh new beginning. This is a reboot of the flagship podcast for the website, which is of course sourcegaming.info. If you somehow found this podcast without finding it, which I guess could happen, right? I mean, there's someone out there stumbling upon
Someone
this.
stumbles on from iTunes and has no idea about anything. It's just like, oh, you know, need something tantalizing, something exciting to listen to.
And I can't find that,
pop up.
so I'll use this.
So yeah, we're here. We've just finished our 3rd anniversary live stream when you're hearing this, which hopefully has gone amazing. You know, it's the future right now, so it's the problem of future us to deal with.
Well,
and...
I believe the live stream would still be going on when this debuts. I think this
okay.
is...
Yeah.
It depends.
This is part of the live stream.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
See?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't
this is
really
like
sure where this is gonna
early
fall.
days in the live stream, I think. This is like that early point.
When no one's awake.
Yeah. Perfect.
Someone's
time
always
for
You
awake.
this
guys
sort of thing.
listening.
Yeah, I was about to say, we actually have fans all over the world. You know, all 12 of our fans are in different parts of the world, so it works for us.
Yeah. It's fine.
And
Push will be
half of
awake.
our staff members.
Yeah.
And I just realized I forgot to introduce myself. Even if you do read Source Gaming religiously, you probably don't know who I am because I've had one guest article so far, and all my other stuff has been behind the scenes so far. So I'm Whitey Fox, and I'm a contributor / editor and podcast and video guy. I kind of have my hands in a lot of pies, which is exactly where I want them at all times.
Right. You are our executive of pie management. Put it on the business card.
Oh, I absolutely will. If a business card was anything that I would ever consider carrying, I would definitely have that on it. But yeah, we are here to talk about basically the origins of Source Gaming. I'm the audience avatar. I'm the point of view for our audience here because I need to find out this stuff just as much as they do. Find out where these roots took hold in the first place. So I guess I'll ask you first, Push. What was the inspiration? What's the story behind the creation of Source Gaming?
So, before Source Gaming, I actually tried blogging a couple times. Like in college, I ran a blog with my my good friend, and we talked about video games and politics and stuff like that. But so I kind of always had a passion for blogging and talking about my own opinions. Actually, the first website I made was when I was about 8 years old, I think. I made a Pokemon website, and I discussed Pokemon rumors and news, and gave cheat codes on how to get Mew, of course.
Sure, and all the other Poke Gods.
Yeah, I actually had a whole page dedicated to the Poke Gods. So I've always had kind of this passion to kind of create a website and kind of create content and talk about video games online. Source Game was probably my second or third attempt of trying to do that, actually. And what happened was that I had just moved to a new town after changing jobs. I went through a really rough year, and I just need a new beginning. So one of the things I really wanted to do was to kind of create something that I could really be proud of and be really like focused on. And so I decided to create Source Gaming, partly because I also want to practice my translations, because working as an English teacher in Japan, it's not very good for the resume, but if you are able to do some other things outside of it, I think you can really enhance your resume. So I thought I would create a website, I'll talk about video games, and I'll do some translations. And that's where the name Source Gaming came from, because I want to start looking at the history behind games, like go back to the facts and really study like why things are the way they are.
The reason why I came to this site was because of a long-winded discussion I had with some writers here about Donkey Kong, but I just happened to stumble upon the site, and I recognized that there was something really unique about this place. I haven't really seen any site focus on the exact niche things that that Source Gaming offers.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm really proud of with Source Game, is that we kind of like march to the beat of our own drum. Like, we don't really create content that is made just for views or whatever. Like, we make content just because we're interested in it. We're very passionate about it. Like, that's why we can have articles about like Donkey Kong's continuity and like the issues that Nintendo has had with that in the past.
Yeah, we just Spazzy here. Just a quick interjection. I just want to say that everything we do is like, all of us put a lot of work into this. Some of us more than others, and it's all just because we're fans and we're passionate about it. We don't monetize this. We don't make any money. It actually costs some of us money to run this site.
Yeah,
so
we have the Patreon, but no, we don't run ads on the site. We don't run ads on the YouTube channel, and it's all very much it's only funded by the fans, and we only use the funds really to keep the website afloat.
Yeah, basically the Patreon covers the server cost, and then we've been able to pay for some equipment for some staff members.
So we can make better content.
Yep.
So it's all coming from a good place. It's coming from the heart of the source.
The source. It's coming from the source of. It's literally
wasn't there
from
like
the source
direct,
of the gamers.
Push, wasn't there like a direct event that helped to inspire Source Gaming?
So what happened was that I actually I was writing here and there. I wasn't really updating that much, and I started really getting into the Smash 4 Wii U and 3DS hype in a very big way. And I remember watching a Game Explainer video, and they were showing like this clip of it was Palutena's temple, and in Japanese it just said that HP left over, and basically we now know that that's probably for the bridge, like how much health it had before it break. But at the time they were just like, we don't know what this says, we don't know what it means. And so I sent an email to Game Explainer. I was like, this is what it means. Maybe there's a boss character on that stage. Like, there's the possibilities are endless. And I didn't hear back. So I was like, fuck it, I'll post out my own. And so that's what I did. I also started joining the Smash 4 Leaks group that was started by Blue Pikmin 11 on the Smashboards website. And I was an active part of that site as well. I was really into speculation and rumors and also leaks. So started doing that, as well as doing some translations here and there. Basically, after that, I was able to recruit Massman, who helped me out with a lot of the translations. He was already doing translations on NeoGAF, and so he was like I believe the first member to join the team. And then after that, Smash for Wii U, Smash for 3DS got released, and I started data mining the game. And I basically found a lot of unused content, a lot of content that hinted at DLC, way before anything was announced. And so I kind of got a name for myself from that.
Yeah, that's where I bet I saw you on Smashboards. I'd never post there, but I was a lurker during that same period where all the big leaks were happening. So I probably was reading your posts religiously and had no idea.
The issue with that
I'm
leaks
the
group
same.
was that it was behind closed doors.
Yeah,
But
it
Blue
was.
Pikmin let everyone in, but you still had to like join Smashboards and then request an invite to be a part of that group. So a lot of the stuff that I posted there, it would be taken by other sites without credit, simply because they didn't know where the original source was coming from.
Yeah.
When everything just sort of echoes around the chambers of the internet so much, it can be difficult to locate the exact origin of a piece of information sometimes. It's not an excuse, and it really does happen because people don't do their research enough most of the time, but I can see why it's difficult to give credit where credit's due every single time you reference something.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been really trying to raise awareness with Source Gaming, is giving proper attribution and credit for people's work. One thing that I'm really proud of with Source Gaming is that we always constantly, I constantly always try to give people recognition, the props they deserve for the content they create.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good that someone's doing it because
I mean, and
you
it's
know,
gotten us into a little bit of I won't say trouble, but some confrontation with different sites over the years too. Just like
Yeah.
But you know,
and it's all been
sometimes
resolved
it
over
pays
time.
off.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, sometimes it pays off.
we have a
Some
relationship
sites
now
have gotten better with their sourcing and stuff because we kept harassing them about the
yeah,
fact they
like
want
Did You Know
something else.
Gaming is the best, probably the best example who we now have a good relationship with, and we've helped out. But I mean, at the time we you know, and we didn't do it in a negative way. We weren't trying to be like, oh, you're terrible. We're just like, hey, these facts are wrong, and they're like, well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one
it's kind
thing,
of our quota to stop misinformation spreading, and that's just a part
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to.
We're,
pay
you know,
to
we
someone
should really change our
who
name to
religiously believe
game
stuff.
to game auditors. Like we just audit people's facts. So I'm just gonna throw it away.
Well, one thing that I was really,
GameIRS.gov.
one thing I was really proud that that I was able to change with Source Gaming was people would used to copy and paste our entire translations into news posts and not give us credit. And basically, I wrote a post like, "You guys are plagiarizing my content. Like that's not cool." And eventually, most sites were able to stop doing that.
Yeah, gonna make some noise and tell people that they're wrong. Put them in the naughty corner, and they'll realise the error of their ways.
Yeah, unless they're real boneheads, all they really need to do is be told politely. Most of them aren't doing it out of any sort of malice, like you said. It's not like they're out to get us, but they don't know any better, or they just haven't given it as much thought as they should, given their positions.
Also, there's like a real tendency for some people, if it's a smaller site or a smaller group of people, they will kind of like just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We try to hold accountability and make sure that we try to source all of our work. That's be kind of hypocritical. We don't always, but we try to be kind of hypocritical of us to write an article about Nintendo's financials and not link it back to where we got it from, because that's kind of the ethos of the site. It's what Source Gaming's all about, and I personally. What I like about the site, and I was there since the beginning. I was the second person after Maskman, so I kind of was there for the formation of what the site would become as far as articles that weren't translation. Because at the beginning, it was all pretty much data mining and translation. And there's thoughts during the formation period of something like Source Gaming, where we like Nintendo games, we like Smash. Are we going to be news? We didn't want to be another My Nintendo or Nintendo World Reports, because there's so many sites that just report on the news. So we wanted to approach this from a different direction. We were all fans. The original group of people, a lot of us came from that Smashboards league group.
Yeah,
And
I think everyone did.
Yeah.
The original group.
And personally, my thoughts for joining the site is I was, doing some retro gaming, blogs previously. I wasn't happy with a lot of what I saw with game journalism at the time. And it seemed like something to do, but also just like, I already write so much about Smash every day arguing with people on a website. I might as well do it in a more constructive way. But I saw...
Yeah, you might as well have something to show for it at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Instead of just ethereal discussions.
Right. And I feel like because we come from, from forums and from places with passion and fans and discussion, we kind of saw, we're like, what people want to talk about is this. They want to talk about... they want to know the history of a character, or they want to know, speculative movesets, or they want to know, all to do with Smash, of course, or they want to know, like, hey, even like dream rosters, which are as far as Source Gaming goes, kind of like light fluff pieces. We know it's something that fans of the series like, and it's something that we've gotten positive reception to. So, we do that, and that's something else I like about Source Gaming, and I want more feedback. Is what do the fans of the site want? Because we're very receptive to feedback. So, but yeah, I'm proud.
That's what you got to do to survive, of course.
Yeah, you can't just be like everybody else. Like, I think and I know NantenJex and Push would definitely agree with me. One area where I think the site has kind of excelled is in attraction to other content creators. People that are really passionate about it and create things themselves. See the site, and they're like, "Oh, it's great, everything that you're doing," which is a good feeling, I think.
Yeah, like I really felt like, especially in the early days of Source Gaming became like a new site for other journalists.
So people came to us and saw what we were revealing, like the news that we were breaking.
We're like the 80s Louis C.K. of video games, where we're beloved on the inside circle, but nobody on the outside knows who we are yet. And we get out there once in a while.
Yeah, well, there's like a lot of really useful information and stuff that a lot of people don't know or report on that from Source Gaming. It's like, the way I found the site was, because I wasn't there from the beginning. I joined a year after it had begun, and at the time I was doing a bunch of writing stuff. I had done some journalist writing stuff for some sites that are, like a fighting game site was the first one I started on, and I did some other freelance stuff, and I wanted to do my own blog where I could talk about Smash Brothers related stuff. And I think I did that in Hyrule Warriors because I was super into it at the time. And Push found my blog because of because of the Hyrule Warriors and Smash Brothers stuff. And so he showed me his, and I looked through his, and the definitive list of unused fighters, which has all of the cut or considered or planned stuff for Smash Brothers in it, and like it debunks all the rumored ones, like really stuck with me, because there's a lot of stuff like I thought that Pit was still for the original Smash Brothers, and stuff like Meowth as well in that game, and I didn't know about the Takamaru stuff or the data mine stuff, so I was like suddenly super into this, and it's through that I wanted to help them out, and I ended up beginning working here, doing articles and stuff, and then helping forward the video content and the original podcast and stuff like that. But I find that Source Gaming has lots and lots of information that's easily accessible and organized and stuff, so that all people have to do is come to the site, type in what it is that they're looking for, and we should have the information there, at least definitely for Smash Brothers. And if we want, one of the things I would like to do is expand this to other games that people are usually misinformed about.
And the definitive list of unused fighters and such, it is a perfect example of what this site excels at, where it's, like you said, a lot of information in one place in an easily digestible format. It's very long, of course, so you still have to have some dedication to read through it, but it's still a lot easier than going to all these disparate sources where you're going to get clouds of misinformation and hearsay. I mean, with things like Pit being considered for Super Smash Bros. 64, that was from the early days of the internet and such. There was no one around to debunk the rumors at the time, so they got their hooks in and then just sort of persisted through the years because nobody knew any better.
Yeah, there's one fake leak in particular, and Push can tell you all about this. That happened years ago. That NeoGAF post where everybody still to this day you have to like rally against and be like, no, somebody just made a bunch of stuff up.
Yep.
What was?
Yeah, I actually found the guy. No, not the Tower Smash. The guy that claimed that Pit and Meowth were planned for Smash 64. He was a former NeoGAF user. I was able to come in contact with him by finding friends of his and stuff like that. And he basically admitted to me that he made it up because he was trying to read the Japanese and couldn't understand it, so he just kind of filled in the gaps, he said. And this was like after I spent over 100 hours reading every single Smash 2 email. So what happened was that on the old Smash 64 website and the old Melee website, Sakurai actually responded to a lot of fan questions, and there's over 200 pages of that. And I sat down a couple weekends and I just read everything because I was trying to source. My goal was to source every piece of unused content in Smash, because I was curious about unused content. I'm very passionate about unused content. I'm a big fan of Unseen 64, sorry, and so like for me, documenting that the unused Smash content was just always a dream of mine, and then that's where the definitive unused fighter list came from.
And it's amazing to think that all that information, it was out there. It was just in a form that nobody in America, I mean, a very small percentage of people in America and Europe could understand or have access to.
Yeah, that reminds me. Because what happened was that when I started looking up Smash information in Japanese, I realized that the information that the Americans had and the information the Japanese people had were very different. And so I started investigating to figure out why. Why wasn't Meowth or Pit considered to be in Smash 64 on the Japanese side, but on the American side it's basically confirmed true. And then so I had to go back to the source and find out who the source was, see what their methods were, and find out that they didn't do a good job.
I wonder if there's any on the Japanese side specifically that people believe. Like misinformed Japanese people that think that
there's some Japanese people that said like, oh, I guess that Meowth was planned because I hear all the time in English.
Well, no, not like specifically them ones, like because the Meowth and Pit one obviously originated over here, but I wonder if there's any specific characters that have originated because of misinformation in Japan.
I know there's an example of French rumor that Sakurai coming onto like a French radio station.
I remember that interview actually.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to find that at all.
Yeah, I remember people talking about it. Anyways, yeah. The one with Pit and Meowth, was that also the one that talked about? Was it Wolf being planned for Melee, or there was something else? Yeah, and that was also fake.
Wolf. It's basically all one post. It's just a huge post of misinformation that got accepted as truth. Without anyone looking into it at all.
Yeah,
which is
Wolf and Melee
really
and Wario as well was part of that too, right? Yeah.
It's really surprising because you think about how big the Smash series is, and the fact that there wasn't a site like Source Gaming before, it's just mind-boggling, I think.
It didn't have its own dedicated site already, and it's the perfect sort of starting point for a site of this kind because, I mean, Smash Brothers is a series more than any other that I can think of off the top of my head that's just drenched in video game history.
Yep.
It just pours out of every facet of it. Sakurai, he's wonderful about his attention to detail, and obviously he knows a lot of things that just fly over the fans' heads, even the most hardcore of fans. So it's the perfect starting point for a site that really delves into the history and source of things to start with Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, for Smash Brothers, there was a lot of fan coverage, but it was always for the competitive side of Smash Brothers, which I mean, some of us are on the site competitive gamers. We all enjoy the competitive scene, but that's not all Smash Brothers is. So much more of it, the majority of Smash fans are much more into the speculation in the characters and the game itself than into competitive Smash. And I personally like competitive Smash. But there's already so many sites to cater to that. So it's weird that kind of the other side of Smash Brothers gets so much less, attention, I guess, from a lot of sources.
Especially considering, like you said, that's what the fans seem to want on that side. Maybe they just didn't realize it before sites like this were around. But, I mean, I remember back when the Brawl Dojo was still going on, it was the absolute first thing I did every day, was check that website before going to school, just to see what the new piece of information was, even if it was something like "you must recover," which is infamous amongst those circles. It's something that I thought about every moment of every day, from when that game was announced until when it released. What was going to be in Brawl, who was going to be in Brawl, what you were going to be able to do in Brawl, what modes there were going to be. And, aside from the dojo, there still wasn't anything around that was really documenting any of that or analyzing any of that.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the dojo as well. I remember staying awake just for that every day. But
oh man, and it was always sweet when you would stay up for it or wake up really early for it, and you would be rewarded with a new character reveal. It was one of the, and I eventually got in a cycle. This is off topic, but I eventually got in a cycle where I would start dreaming about it the night beforehand. So I would wake up thinking I had already seen the update to the dojo, and it was something that I really wanted, of course, because my brain made it up. And then I would actually check the site and just be like, "Oh man, that didn't happen."
Oh, no Mega Man.
Oh.
So I know when all of you folks joined the site at this point, we know your personal history, but how has the site evolved over the years? You've referenced how it started with just translations and data mining, and I believe Spazzy, right? You said that you had taken it more into the outside content to focus on actual article work.
Yeah, like I said, when I first came in, there was discussion, because at the very beginning, and it was a while. I don't know, when did we first start doing video work? Push, it was...
video wasn't until like a year or two in.
Right, because it started when we after... it was almost a year, too, before we started doing the podcast and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the podcasts weren't originally...
I remember because it started because I suggested that we should do video-based topics, and Push wanted someone to, be in charge of that, so I nominated to do it.
Okay.
Because I felt like we should bring some of this stuff to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when when I first joined the site and it came up, was it before or I'm trying to recall, because it was before the game was released.
Yeah, because I remember a couple of the articles that I wrote for the site were like, these are the stages that these are the series that might get additional stages in Smash for Wii U based on the series, the way the stages line up, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. So when I first joined, we had it was still deep into the deepest part of Smash hype, and there was a lot of speculation. So at the time, there was discussion, like I was saying before, on how to proceed with the site, because it was just basically translations and data mining. And that's when I started. 1 week I did 4 articles where I'm like, I'm just going to write my case 4 articles for 4 different Konami reps. And it was Snake, Bomberman, Simon Belmont. Then I put it out. I'm like, so we should write, more speculative pieces. We should write more about, what people might want to see on the site. But at the time, what I wanted to make sure too, and I think that we've done a good job at kind of maintaining this. I don't want to be one of those sites that just is all like, man, Daisy's the best. These are all the reasons Daisy's awesome.
Oh dear God.
I'm like, I want to actually analyze the character. I wanted to get the whole point of the case forward when I started doing them was it's short. It's a brief synopsis of the character. This is who the character is. These are pros against them. These are cons. It's just information. And I thought that everything that we should do on the site should be kind of information focused. It should be resourced. Mm-hmm. Over time, we've kind of moved on. We're not just Smash. We do all sorts of articles now, but we try, I just wrote an article about the history of voice chat on video game consoles. It's just a way to kind of gather information and present it to people and things that they might find interesting. It is what's going on. We've gone more from just Smash to more general Nintendo. We started doing reviews, I think maybe about a year after the site was around.
More than that.
Yeah, maybe more.
Reviews are pretty new.
Yeah.
In the history of the site.
And yeah, we try not to, once again, to do just like, the same sort of reviews as everyone else does. But it's still part of what we do. We just want to make sure that what we provide to people is, just thought out articles. It's not just, kind of regurgitated or the things you'll find on other sites, which is why we don't normally do things like news. We'll do, sometimes we'll do reaction videos to things. Half of the reason for that is because we think it's fun. I'll be honest. We're like, we're talking about this anyways. But yeah, we've gone from Smash to more general Nintendo games, to fighting games, to other games. We have some, relationships we've developed with a couple people in the industry, some indie developers. James at Way Forward and us, we're pretty tight now, and other people as well. It's interesting. I think it's gone beyond that. We've also branched out and we started to do the straight from the source, where we started doing interviews with different game developers and other things, which is something that I think is fairly well received on the site. Not our most popular stuff, but it's something I'm pretty proud of. It's awesome. We got interviews with all of the Smash announcers.
The only site to have done that. Also, we've gotten to interview Goichi Suda. That's pretty cool. And, we got to ask him really weird questions that people don't normally ask. Like, hey, why are you actually credited in Brawl? Or, what's your perception of outsiders, and how does that relate to your games? When I do interviews, at least, I try to ask questions that I'm personally interested in learning about that I know isn't covered anywhere else.
And plus it makes for a more interesting interview for you and for the subject when you're not just asking them the same damn questions they get asked in every interview that they ever do. What are your inspirations, and what kind of tree would you be?
Very recently, we interviewed Godard from the Vitae Backroom, and that is a massive interview, and it's just like a resource for people. It's over 16 pages long or something like that, and the interview lasted for over an hour, and he just goes over the history of his relationship with Nintendo, how his company has worked with Nintendo, and what they're planning to do in the future. It's really amazing.
Well, I know where the site's been in the past, how it's evolved over the years, where you guys came in. Where do you want the site to go in the future? Push, what would you like to see as a new thing to happen on Source Gaming over the next year by the 4th anniversary, let's say?
Well, I guess I'd like just the site to grow in more ways. I'd like to do a little bit more video content, just because I think people have easier time digesting it in video content versus long-form articles. But I'd still like our video content to be informed by information, and to still present those sources to those who want it, because I know I'm very interested in checking out people's sources and checking out where the information comes from, and I know there's a lot of people who read Source Gaming that kind of expect that same level. One thing that Source Gaming has going for itself is that we're very reputable. A lot of people really trust us with information, and that's something that I really take pride in, and that I really want to protect going forward.
Well, your reputation is all you have in this industry, or, any industry where social interaction with your peers is a gigantic component. As soon as you start spurning people, start betraying their trust, leaking information they give to you, let's say, it's all over. Word of that spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, we try to stay away from leaks and rumors, which is funny, because as other people can testify, people do come up to members of our staff and tell us leaks and rumors, and there's stuff that we've heard about, that some of us have heard about, weeks before, months, but we are not. We've learned, I guess, to kind of stay away from that. That's not our wheelhouse.
It's just a really quick way to make enemies. You can't really do anything with any of that information without hurting somebody somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
I've written several articles about how to deal with rumors and leaks, and you just got to be really careful that you don't get someone fired. There's so many people that have leaked information that has led directly to someone getting fired, and that's just awful.
I was going to say, it's funny because I'm somebody that gets hungry especially when you're following a game's development, and there's droughts between information. Sometimes you're thirsty, you need it. You're like, I need to hear something, and you get really into leaks. But in retrospect, and I think Smash is a perfect example. I'm like, man, if that ESRB leak didn't happen, I'd been so much more surprised for all of the reveals. Like Schultz's reveal would have been a delight.
I know, it was a big shame, honestly, to have that, and it was so close to the release of the game too. We were so near the finish line of being able to be unspoiled for the most part. And it was awesome, and I couldn't stop looking at it when it happened, but
it was a ride.
At the same time, it was like, man, it wasn't like I was going to be able to not look at the information. I mean, it was going to be all over social media and such, so I thought I might as well pay as close attention to it as possible. That was my way of justifying it to myself, at least.
Yeah, and with Cloud, Cloud wasn't leaked to the general public, so that was great. That was fantastic because a lot of people were very surprised about that.
Well, it's one of the biggest surprises. It's still, whenever I think about Cloud being in Smash, it feels alien and new to me. No matter how many times I can play as him, it just it still feels like a fresh new surprise at this point.
Yeah, and after the Roy, Ryu, and Lucas were released early on the eShop, I actually did some data mining, and I felt really bad about it, actually. So I felt like a huge sense of regret, and because I felt like I spoiled something that was so close to release. And
it was like a surprise because I had a friend who didn't know anything about it and was a big Ryu fan, and I knew everything that was going to happen in the direct. Yep. So
yeah, because when I did the data extraction, I found out that Ryu had the command inputs from the original Street Fighter, which was a really big surprise. That
it was something that nobody could have expected, because I believe we were discussing this a little bit earlier off air, that they had to modify the engine just to accommodate that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was a little sad about ruining that surprise.
Yeah,
How dare you?
It was interesting, and I think that's something that maybe we could even do a little bit more of. The data mining for future content is kind of weird, but actually looking through the files of games. And and once again, there's other sites that do all sorts of stuff. You can't challenge site like that. You can't challenge the cutting room floor with what we're doing. But I always find that stuff sort of interesting to really find out, because that gives you a window, I think, into the game development too a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm really interested in unused content as well. And we just had Ahem from the cutting room floor join the Source Gaming staff.
All right.
So
I'm very excited about that. The cutting room floor is an invaluable resource.
Yep.
Yep. Well, one thing I'd like to do with the site going forward is to establish more of I know I said it a bit earlier, but more of a database type thing where people can very easily find the information that they're looking for. Because one of the frustrating things is that we've debunked some myths and some rumors and stuff, and we have all the information out there and it's all available on our site, yet you still come across posts or videos of people who just have the wrong information, still have all of the misinformation about something, and it's right here, and most people, at least in the Smash Brothers community, know that it's wrong because they would check out our site. But you get a lot of people who are big named YouTubers who aren't heavily into Smash Brothers, they just like it casually, who don't I don't know if it's just that they don't do their research, or it's just that if they do a bit of research, or maybe they find our site but they don't find the article that says anything differently. So one of the things I'd like to try and fix, trying to make sure that we can spread as much as possible and that everything's easier to identify.
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, personally, I'd like to, and I think I touched upon this earlier, have a better idea of what it is that the fans want from us, to have more interaction with the readers of Source Gaming. You know, we've delved into this a little bit with Games Club and other things like that. But I'd really like to have a better way of obtaining feedback from them. And I'd also like to better be able to share things we do that aren't just like, you know, patch 1.7 changes or new information on Smash Brothers or translation. I'd like to be able to share, to have our content that isn't, you know, our big name content reach more people, because I feel like we do, all of us, produce a lot of content, and I think a lot of it is very good. And I actually think some of the better articles on the site, and some of the better videos especially, don't get the same, view count as some of our other stuff. And that's understandable, not everything's going to be the same. But I'd like to get our, readership and viewership higher across the board, and not just have, just like I said, a spike because we're talking about, we made a video about 100 characters versus 30 characters in Smash with Relax, just.
Now, you want a consistent view count for all of our content, and not just the news or Smash Brothers related ones that just happen to
right. And I think that
timely ones.
And I think, and personally, I kind of see that as two things in that, and that's why I kind of said the feedback, to find out more about what people would want from us, so that we can create that type of content, and two, to attract the people that might be interested in this content because they might not know about us to the other content.
I think the big issue is that we're so integrated with Smash Bros. That we've been trying to move away from it a little bit, and still people can't disassociate our Source Gaming with Smash Bros.
Yeah, we're the Smash Bros. Guys.
The reason why I don't have like Nintendo or Smash Bros. In the name is because I wanted to keep Source Gaming kind of general.
I think the natural thing for the site, and we've talked about this for a while, and we've made some steps to do this, is like, hey, we have the definitive character list. We debunked a lot of fake rumors. I want to see us do that more, and we've talked about it. It's something that we do have tentatively planned with other game series, because there's so much misinformation out there. That's the mission statement for Source Gaming is to get rid of misinformation. So that's what I want to see us do, and what I don't want to say it like that, like I'm making a statement. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're kind of planning on doing to series that are beyond Smash Brothers. It's just we're so Smash focused. It takes us a little time to switch gears. But once again, going to fan interaction. If anyone has any series they would like us to delve into, if people are like, hey, I want to know more about the development of the Resident Evil games, and I've heard a lot of stuff about Resident Evil 4 and how it started as this and this, and because there's so many things, and a lot of it comes with Japanese developers and translation, that people just translate one little thing or grab one little thing and go, but you don't have everything. So,
well, I wanted to talk next just about the future of this podcast itself.
Okay.
In previous incarnations, SourceCast seemed to be topic focused, but we do want to move more toward a little bit of focus on news, since it's not covered on the site at all, to give that some representation. And like you said, we want to get more of our content in front of more eyes, so that people are viewing us as things other than just a Smash resource, and we want to get their eyes on other articles. And having something that has dedication to news would be a good way to do that, because they'll come in for the news, we'll plug the articles and stuff, and hopefully that'll get people who are just interested in general gaming content to delve a little deeper into the site.
Right. I mean, my original plan was just to make us a Walking Dead recap show, because people apparently watch those. So, just
I think there are like a million Walking Dead podcasts, though. Literally, just
maybe
say that.
Maybe we could do some makeup tutorials. I don't know, guys.
I'm pretty sure I've nominated one year for like the best podcast of the year or whatever. There was like 3 separate Walking Dead podcasts all nominated. That all basically did the exact same thing.
What if we do a Walking Dead recap, but we don't actually watch a show? We just watch the trailer and then just make up what we think might have happened on the show.
Interpret our own events.
Yeah,
and
We just read
the
the blurb and TV guide and try to reverse engineer the episode from there.
I wanted to change up the podcast a bit because I think doing the old podcasts were fun for sure. They were definitely harder to organise. We always had a special guest, and we had to make sure that they were okay with it. We had to, we had to always have a separate topic and plan everything further in advance. Whereas a news one is always relevant, and it's very simple to pick up a thing. And having a consistent cast as well will also help to make these easier to record. Like, one of the things is that I'm going to probably be in a lot of them, and Whitey Fox is also going to be in a lot of them. At least that's the plan right now.
Right, and we want to make sure that we can have the same people there all the time, and we'll still get guests and have other contributors to the site on when it's relevant to what we're discussing that week. When there's a specific piece that maybe needs to be plugged, or just when we need someone's unique perspective, maybe. But when you're dealing with remote projects like our site, where people are spread across basically every time zone on Earth here, coordinating guests on top of all of that is just a recipe to make sure that nothing ever gets done.
Or that I never sleep.
Take it for the team, Push. It's fine. Who needs sleep? Sleep is for the
3 a.m.
weak.
right here.
Oh man, you know what's funny too? Talking about how the site changed, we our staff has grown exponentially. But at the beginning, there's a point where like, let's get 3 articles out every day. Just like, we produce so much content with much less
awful.
people. Yeah.
I said to you guys, we don't need that much content every day. No one's going to read that much content every day, but yeah.
I read it. I read all of it.
That nearly killed me.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where this podcast goes.
Yeah.
I'm
I
feeling
think
pretty good about it.
One of the changes I think we were aiming to do is, well, the old podcast was bi-weekly, and we might still start with bi-weekly, but if we can prove to ourselves and to all of you that we can keep this up consistently, then we may make it a more weekly thing.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's easy,
And
because we can
we're-
get news more directly and stuff like... Because some news, if something comes out on a Monday and then we don't talk about it until 2 weeks later, it might be out of date by then. Which is a shame,
who
we
will
missed
care
our
by
chance
then?
to talk about it. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing
And
to do.
that happens to us at times too, when we schedule so many different things to go out, and then by the time I recently had a review for the Castlevania series on Netflix come out, or more of a discussion with Wolfman and myself, and it came out like a week after the show hit. And it's funny because people are so fast and consume things so quickly that even getting something out a week after, people are already on to the next thing already.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't help that series was only like an hour and a half long in total. It drove me crazy.
But it was a great hour. Let's talk about it again. It's the whole thing. We'll do another 30.
Well, maybe in a future podcast when the next season starts and we get the rest of it. But just some other things that you might expect from future episodes of the podcast is talking about some of our articles, like articles that we think particularly need more attention, or stuff that we find interesting that we'd like to elaborate or discuss on more. We also might open up for questions or topics from Patreon, and try and get those guys involved as well.
And we get so many great comments on the site too that if it warrants it, it would be nice to do like a featured comment section where we find the best comments on each article and give them some exposure.
We'll
Be a good way
repurpose
to get the
those
community
old
involved.
articles, the old comments. Look at, because we were trying to find a new format to get them
For the
anyway.
featured comments.
Yeah, and so maybe having some at the end of a podcast is a good idea, like favorite comments of the week.
And that's what's amazing about the podcast format. It's a fun thing to do. I just like hearing myself talk, to be honest. I know I haven't done it a ton this episode because I've been trying to focus on, just for some background, this is a little inside baseball. I'm just talking to two of you guys for the first time here, aside from the meeting we just had. I had talked to Push a little bit before, so I've been trying to sit in the background and and sort of take it all in and adjust to things. But believe me, I never shut the fuck up when when you let me, and I will have my tirades on future episodes of this. So
it's going to be a
podcast is just an amazing tool. It's a fun thing to do, and it's just a great way to get people who otherwise wouldn't read a site. You know, people can listen to podcasts when they're doing anything. I know because I do it maybe 5 to 6 hours on most days. Just have an earbud in and listen to shows. And, you know, they can't read articles while they're working or while they're driving, and this is a great way to make sure that when they do get home, when they are in front of a computer or using their phone, they think, maybe I should go to Source Gaming and read more about what I just heard.
It's going to be a task, I think, keeping you, Spazzy, and Wolfman all under control. You're all in the same podcast together.
That's part of the Source Gaming motto, is we don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
We just have so much information to spread. That's why.
Yeah.
Much like a disease. Much like a disease.
Source
Gaming.
Much like a disease.
Yeah, it's a good disease.
My only regret was that I had sourceitis.
So this episode is debuting during the during the live stream, obviously. Whitey, when did we want to get other episodes? Like, when is this going to become available to rewatch, and when did we want to try and get other episodes done?
Well, I think that we could go ahead and try to get episode 1 up about... I know you said bi-weekly format at first, but maybe a week after the live stream would be a good time to aim for the first real episode that's actually focused on news and such. We don't want to leave people hanging for too long. We don't want to give them an episode 0 and then wonder when on Earth episode 1 will be landing.
Right.
I think tentatively we have like every Tuesday or every other Tuesday as the release date.
Yeah, so every other Tuesday will be what we're aiming for, and like especially once fall comes and once we've gotten on a consistent schedule, built up steam. When there's more gaming news to cover on a weekly basis, we'll be probably trying to ramp up to more regular releases by then.
Right, and I mean, Source Gaming also, it's not just we're always expanding, doing new things. A lot of people don't realize we have a Twitch. We don't use it as much, but I think that's going to be changing a little bit. We're going to try to be on there more for different things. So.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see where the site goes. I'm really fascinated. I'm in a unique position as a fan, a new fan, and also a new staff member to really have an interesting ride. And I can't wait to see what you guys do. I can't wait to see what we do together. I'm really excited about this. It's been a pleasure talking with all of you today.
Yeah. I look forward to working with you guys and also seeing where the site goes by this time next year.
Yes.
Happy third birthday, Source Gaming.
Happy third birthday. Let's make the fourth one a big deal.
I'm looking forward to the fifth one. I feel like 5-year anniversaries are always nice. You know?
Yeah, the annuals. That's when the game will be released.
Source Gaming the game.
Yeah. Now you could play as PushDustin.
What genre of game would Source Gaming the game be?
WarioWare game.
I could see that.
Dating simulator.
WarioWare minigame type game.
I was thinking more of like an
combination WarioWare dating simulator.
I was thinking more of like an adventure game, like a point and click where you have to find clues for things. I just felt like it kind of fit.
The game is just playing the site, and you just have to find the information by going through the site.
It's actually a typing instruction game, very House of the Dead.
No, it's like a walking
PushDustin
simulator, but
teaches
there's no
typing.
walking at all, and it's actually a browser simulator.
Okay, we're also making plush dolls of all of the different staff members, not of any avatars and stuff, just actually that. It's gonna be on the site. It's gonna be a body pillow, so you can get your own Spazzy body pillow. It'll be great. Fantastic.
Look forward to all of this and more.
I would order a Spazzy body pillow.
Who wouldn't? I mean, come on. We're sitting on money here, guys.
And people could be sitting on us instead.
Whoa! Oh man.
Okay,
We should,
I think that's
that seems like a good
classic,
natural stopping point for
yeah.
things, right? We better stop before we just go full
All right, guys.
slap
Yeah.
happy delirium.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
So,
yeah,
we're on social
let's,
media, right? We use the internet on a fairly regular basis. I think it's fair to say. PushDustin, where can people find you if they really want to dig into you as a character before they buy the body pillow?
Well, if they want to get in touch with me, Twitter is probably the best way. I'm obsessed with Twitter. You can find me at PushDustin. I try to keep all my social media names the same, so it's easy to find me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wish I could
Spazzy,
say
how
the
about
same
you?
for that.
Where are you hanging around?
I'm also on the Twitter, and I'm on all sorts of things, the Instagram and the Facebooks and all sorts of things, but mostly the Twitter, at 8bit _ Spazzy. I was looking through, I had a box of stuff I was looking through, and I found an unopened copy of Super Metroid. I just want you guys to know that.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
take, and
Oh,
I'm going to take a
dude.
picture of it,
Well done.
put it on my Twitter, so you guys can go and be like, hey, that's exactly when this podcast was recorded, because he just made a tweet about this. Sorry, continue.
Hey, we were brainstorming giveaways during the live stream. You wanna part with that by any chance?
Probably not.
It's gonna pay for his Tokyo trip.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I guess if you want to find me, unfortunately not NantenJex on Twitter. It's actually at Mr. Nintendo, because that was the old name and I can't change it anymore. So you're just gonna have to deal with it.
You can find me and Whitey Fox at preposterous YT, the letters YT, and I don't have parody of my name across different platforms because I'm bad at planning things like that. And, we'll see you next week for the first real episode of Super SourceCast. Again, I'm Whitey Fox, signing off for All Source Gaming. The site, of course, is at All Source Gaming. It begs to be mentioned on Twitter. And you can follow us there so that we can conveniently link you to content so you can start digging into our long-form things.
All right.
Well, I guess if this is airing part of the live stream, look forward to whatever Push has got planned next. He won't be gone for long.
Yeah, either goodbye or you'll hear me live soon. I don't know when this is happening.
You're probably sick of me already.
Yeah.
But keep going. Don't worry. It's worth it.